Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Tim, back with another video, back with another walk and talk. It's been a while since I got to get out and walk around, turn the camera on. I'm actually down in Longmont, Colorado. Came over here to the Walmart, and I'm really in no rush to get back in my car, drive back up the mountain, because it's snowy up there. There's snow still all on the ground up there. Down here you can see the green grass is out, you know, heard a couple birds chirping, birds flapping, flying by. So I'm really in no rush to get back up the top of the mountain. So I said, you know what, I'll spend the day in Longmont, and since I'm here, I figured I'd do a walk and talk. We're just gonna walk around the Walmart, the general area, and talk. Haven't really decided what I want to talk about. It's one of those walk and talk. It's one of those walk and talks where I really don't know what I'm gonna say, but we're gonna figure something else out. I think there's a sidewalk over here. We can go up this way. Any cars coming? No, I think we're good. I love the looks I get when I'm doing walk and talks, because people just don't understand what's going on. So why is this guy talking into this camera to himself? Anyway, I think I might talk about letting go of attachments. Yeah, let's talk about letting go of attachments. I was thinking that back in the day, and y'all will notice if you follow my channel, you know I always take things, my voice is echoing. I'm in a weird area right here. My voice is echoing. This is crazy. I always take things back to our roots, back to our ancestors. And I was thinking this whole ideal of being attached, especially to possessions, attachments to possessions, this whole ideal is new. Like, our ancestors were not attached to possessions, and mainly because, all right, blow it up, turbo, blow it up, turbo. Okay. Our ancestors were not attached to possessions, mainly because they had very few excess possessions. Okay, most of the things our ancestors owned were tools. They were things that they used so that they could survive. Now, they might have some extra, you know, trinkets or some jewelry, little things like that. Nothing wrong with having a couple extra, you know, toys. But for the most part, 90% of all the things they owned were tools. And so they weren't really, you know, tools you don't really get too attached to, because they're just a means to an end. I know I need this, you know, knife so that I could skin animals so that we can eat them and we can make, you know, clothes. They weren't really attached to tools. This whole idea of attachment is new. Another reason why our ancestors weren't too attached to possessions was because pretty much everything they owned, came directly from the earth. If they needed something, they could go out and get it. That knife, you know, they made that from rock or something like that. If they needed clothes, they made them from animal skins. If they needed bowls or pottery, they made it from clay. Like, pretty much everything they had, everything they owned, came directly from the earth, and everyone had the same opportunity to own it. So even if someone did steal something from you, you could go right back out and get it. It might be an inconvenience, but you could go right back out to the earth where you got the materials you needed for the first one and make another one, fashion another one, get another one. So this whole ideal of attachment just wasn't a thing, because pretty much everything they had was tools, and you could just go right back to the earth to get the materials you needed to make another tool. So there wasn't, I mean, everyone had the same stuff. Everyone had the same access, for the most part, to the same stuff. So that's why this whole ideal of possessions and being attached is so new, because whereas they had 90% tools, these days we have 80% stuff. You know what I'm saying? We've got junk. Our ancestors didn't have stuff. They didn't have junk. We do. And it's ironic that that's the stuff we tend to get attached to. And the reason we get attached to our stuff and our toys and our junk is because on some levels, that is how we perceive whether we're successful or not. On some levels, for a lot of people, how they perceive whether they're successful or not, whether they made it, how they justify their existence, how they feel good about themselves, is by their stuff, is by their toys. And that's why people become so attached to them. They're things we don't really need. They're not tools, it's just extra stuff, but that's how we justify our existence. I know I have the right to live on this earth. I know I'm successful. I know, you know, I've done something with my life because I have this possession, or I have a very expensive version of this possession. And that's why people get so attached to them, because if they lose them, they're losing a part of themselves. They're losing some of their self-worth. That's why people get so attached to possessions. If your self-worth is wrapped up in what you own, if you lose it, then you're losing a part of yourself. Because you don't feel worthy anymore. Because all those people you judged because they didn't have what you have, or they don't, you know, make as much money as you, so they can't purchase the same possessions you do, you're gonna be just like you feel just like them, and you remember all that judging, and you judge yourself just as harshly when you lose it. And the problem is, everything you have in life you're going to lose. I mean, that's just, I mean, I don't care what you believe in. Everything you have in life you're gonna lose, down to your life itself. You know, there's nothing in this world that we take out of it with us. So if you are judging yourself and your success and who you are based on possessions, you're setting yourself up for heartache. You're setting yourself up to feel like a loser, to pain, heartache. And the problem is, usually a lot of times when we lose stuff, it's when we're going through bad times already. You know, if your self-worth is wrapped up in owning a nice condo downtown and driving a brand new BMW, if you fall on financial hardships, which is hard anyway, and you lose the condo and the BMW, you're really gonna be feeling bad. Because now not only are you broke, you're also, you know, not the person you thought you were. Who's this guy waving at? This guy, like, what, is he waving at me? Okay. You're not the person you thought you were. Hey, you're not the person, you know, you thought you were. So that's why it's a problem, I think, to become, like, one of the problems with becoming too attached to possessions is because they go away. They go away. And not to mention it's fake. Not to mention your self-worth is wrapped up in who you are and the type of individual you are, how you live your life, what you do for others, what you are providing for this planet. That's what your self-worth is wrapped up in. What you do for your family, your friends, what you do for total strangers, how much love and positivity and joy you put into the world. That's what your self-worth is wrapped up in, and that stuff does not go away. That stuff will always be there. If you're a good person and you've been putting in good works, that's always going to be there. You can't take that away. That's the things you should look at to determine who you are, not possessions. Also, I think too, people are really attached to possessions these days because, like I said before, pretty much everything we own came directly from the earth. Everyone had the same access to everything. Now, that's not true. Now, most of the things we own, we have to go to the store to buy, which means that we have to go to work and get money to buy them. And then, you know, some stuff some people can afford, other stuff some people can't. Like, most of the stuff we need in certain areas, we just don't have access to. That includes even, like, down to food and stuff like that. Like, we have set up a system where I'm about to get hit. A lot of cars now. Let me get on the sidewalk over here. Yeah, we've set up a system where everyone does not have access to things. So when we get possessions, I think sometimes we're a little too attached to them because we know access to them is limited. And we worked our butt off to get it, and we don't really want to lose it. I feel like that's somewhere in our mind we realize, man, it took me, you know, 2 months of working and saving to get this. I don't want to lose it. Whereas back in the day, even if you lost it, you just go back out and get another one. But that's because we live in a warped society, ran by greed. We want to keep resources away from people, so they have to pay exorbitant prices to make the people who are lucky enough to have the resources richer. And so that's why people get super attached. But once again, that's not a good reason to get attached. I think when it comes to letting go of attachment, you have to look at what possessions really are. You know, it's easy to say, oh, don't be attached to stuff, but we've been programmed to be attached. We're programmed to be attached to things. Everyone around us is attached to possessions. Everyone around us thinks having bigger, better, more is the best way to be. So obviously, it's going to take some work to not be attached to possessions. It's not something you can just snap your fingers and do. Personally, for me, minimalism really helped me. Minimalism and actually getting rid of a lot of possessions is what helped me. And I'm not even going to sit here and say that in the beginning, I was totally unattached. It was a process. But I realized that I didn't want to be attached, and I was going to do whatever it took to get unattached to possessions. And so minimalism really helped. Minimalism and deciding that I only wanted to, for the most part, own things that had a use. I started looking at things as tools again. I said I only want to own things that have a use in my life, that are useful. Now, if something is useful and, you know, I want to splurge a little bit on it and personalize it and buy something I think is cool and useful, cool. For example, this Batman shirt. I love this shirt. One of my favorite shirts. I always have, when this one gets old, I'll buy another Batman shirt. I always have like one Batman shirt. But yeah, a shirt is useful. It's a tool. Could I have just got a regular shirt for probably cheaper? Just like a white t-shirt, maybe. I splurged a little bit, got a Batman shirt. But it is a tool. And I'm not really attached to this shirt because I know if it goes away, I can go to Walmart and buy another one. Anyway, that's just an example. Like, it's not what you have, it's more what it does for you. That's how I started looking at possessions. What does this possession do for me? How is this possession helpful in my life? And if it wasn't doing anything for me, it wasn't helpful in my life, I got rid of it. If it's not something I really needed, if it's really just like extreme excess, I got rid of it. And it was hard. Y'all probably seen, if you follow this channel, you've seen my minimalism videos. You've heard I talked about some things that took a while. Some things were easy to get rid of, other things weren't. Especially some of the things that my self-worth was wrapped up in. You know, some of my collections, things like that. I thought better of myself because I possessed those things. It was hard to get rid of those, but I had to tell myself, I'm Tim. You know, my self-worth is based on other things, not having 1,000 comic books. You know, so minimalism really helped me out. The more I got rid of things and the more I did not miss these things and the more I was still happy without these things, the easier it became to get rid of other things. And even some of the things I kept, my mindset on them changed. You know, even some of the possessions I kept because they were useful, they were tools, even some of the little extras. And I'm not saying, you know, everything in your life that doesn't have a purpose has to go. There, you know, you can have some fun stuff in your life, you know, little extras. But you know, it's not like most people. Most people just have rooms and rooms and garages and storage containers full of like excess. It's okay to have a little excess, have a little fun, a couple toys, but once again, you'll have the right mindset and you won't be attached. If those toys disappear, it's not a big deal because you realize, that was just a toy, something I had for fun. So minimalism really helps you to detach from possessions. Asking yourself, what does this do for me? Why do I have this? And if the things that you have and you realize they're solely there for your enjoyment and nothing else, you don't really worry too much about them if you lose them. What do I care? You know? And your tools, the things you keep, your tools, for the most part, are usually things you can get back. Especially if you are trying to live like a debt-free lifestyle, a loan-free lifestyle, you know, trying to get financially free, not playing, you know, the game, the banks and the credit cards company's game, then your problem, most of your possessions aren't going to be, even your tools and things that that have a use in your life, aren't going to be crazy expensive. Aren't going to be crazy expensive. So if you lose them for some reason, it'll be a lot easier to get them back. If something happens to them, it'll be very easy to buy another one, or easier to buy another one. It's when we jump out the window and try to buy all this expensive stuff, and we get in all this debt, and we try to finance all this. There's a rabbit running. I won't be able to catch it on here, but there's a rabbit. There's more rabbits running around Colorado. But you know, when you try to buy bigger, better, more, that's when it's a problem, because if you lose it, it's hard to get back. And once again, you become more attached the more you spend to something. You start spending less on stuff, you start buying less stuff, you get less attached. And that gives you more time when you're not so attached to these things. That gives you more time to work on the stuff that really matters in your life. You know, they always say your possessions own you. The more possessions you have, the more you have to like work to maintain them and keep them, and the more you worry about them. The less stuff you have, the less there is to be attached to, the less you have to worry about it. The less you stress about it, it gives you time to work on the really important stuff in your life, like you. You realize how much time we spend working on our stuff when we could be working on us? At the end of the day, that's all we have is us. And we gain friendships and relationships through us. If you're in a relationship with somebody, or someone's your friend based on something you have, based on something you own, it ain't gonna last. That's just, let me just throw that out there right now. Let me just hit you with that game right now. People stay around because of you. That's how you build lasting relationships, friendships. People who come around for your stuff or things you own ain't gonna be there next year or when you lose all that stuff. So, you know, the less you become attached to possessions, the more you can become attached to the important things in life. Like you, friends, family, gives you more time to work on yourself, gives you more time to improve, also gives you more time to think about yourself. You know, it's funny, we live in such a self-centered world, yet so few of us spend time thinking about ourselves and how to improve ourselves and what we really want to do in life. We spend a lot of time on ourselves on social media taking pictures, or, you know, in the gym trying to tone up. What do other gyms healthy? I won't even say the gym. Other things we do that are just kind of to show an outward display of who we are. But we don't spend as much time on like the inner. Who am I? What do I want to do with my life? Who do I want to become? Who am I becoming? That's another big one. Those are the things you can spend time on, you have time for, when you're not so worried about possessions. Where you're not so wrapped up in the things you own and so stressed out about losing them. You have time for yourself. But I think it all starts with just getting the proper mindset, as with everything. It starts with getting the proper mindset and just looking at the things you own. If there are some things you think you're far too attached to, just ask yourself, you know, worst case scenario, what would happen if I lose this? Will the world come to an end? No. It might mess you up in the head for a little bit. Will the world come to an end? No. How can I swap out some of this excess stuff I'm attached to with tools or things I really need? Or how can I get rid of some of this stuff? You know, getting the proper mindset, really realizing that things are just things. They're not important. Your life will go on. You can buy another one. That's how you go from being attached to being free. And the more detached you become from things, definitely the freer you get. And like that freedom is something you can't put a price on it. It's hard to describe. Until you actually feel it, you won't get it. A lot of people would watch this and think, this guy's crazy. This guy doesn't think that having nice things is the secret to life. This guy's just poor, he's broke. But there's some other people who've experienced the freedom. They know what I'm talking about. But yeah, Tim's on to something. That freedom is priceless. I'd much rather have that freedom, you know, than some of the things I had before. When you're not stressing, you're not worried about all this stuff. When your self-worth isn't wrapped up in it. Life becomes a lot easier. Life's still rough at times, but it becomes easier. Because I don't have to worry about possessions. You don't have to worry about possessions. It comes down to survival, having the tools you need, a little extra, and the rest of your money you can save. The rest of your money you can put in the bank. The rest of your money you can invest. The rest of the money you can keep so that when one of those tools breaks down or, you know, something happens, you can buy another one, keep it moving, keep it rolling. There's no sadness. There's no loss of, you know, perception on who you are. You just buy another one, keep it rolling. Anyway, I done walked around this Walmart way too long. I think y'all get the point. It's a nice day. Like I'm so glad spring is here. Green grass, blue skies. Anyway, I'm Tim. Thanks for watching. I'd love to hear your comments on this topic below. If you have any ideas on how people can learn to, oh boy, big truck's coming. If you have any ideas on how people can keep from becoming attached to things, leave them in the comment box below. Check out my description box. There's all kind of cool stuff down there. Follow me on the social medias if you like. I'll talk to you later.